So if you couldn't tell from my last video, I have been feeling really stuck. I have not been feeling very creative. I have been dealing with perimenopausal symptoms, PMS symptoms, and also depression, which I have mentioned before. I struggle with depression and anxiety. I need a refresh. So naturally, I'm going to make over my dining room. At this point, the dining room is the room that I have touched the least. It's the room that I felt like I couldn't finish because we had cut an archway to better connect the living room with the dining room. However, the archway didn't get finished until about 6 months ago, and so I haven't felt like I could really paint the walls or do wallpaper or whatever I wanted to do because that wasn't finished. Now that that's finished, I am going to go full blast into giving that room a makeover. I'm going to base the makeover on two things. Number one, I have desert rose china that I really love, and for a long time I have wanted to do the dining room decorations based on the colors of the desert rose china, but also we have a vintage 1950s turquoise formica table in there, and I think that I want to do something that will both complement the dining room china and also look good with the table. The great debate will be whether or not I'm going to paint this dining room pink. I have some vintage paint cards that I'm going to color match like I have done in the bedroom and the kitchen, and since everyone is always asking me what the color of my walls and my kitchen is, I will also try to pick out some modern paint cards that are close to the colors in whatever vintage paint card I end up choosing, just so that you all can pick a similar color. My color is going to be directly color matched from the vintage paint chip card, which is from the 1950s, but I will try to find a modern replica just in case you would also like to utilize whatever color I go with. So anyway, let's get into it. Let's go figure out what wall color I want in this room and start some painting, because I feel like that's what's gonna fix my life right now. I have utilized these vintage paint cards for every room makeover I have done on this channel, except the living room, and people are always asking me what the color on my walls or the color on my kitchen cabinets is. Unfortunately for all of you, I actually take these paint cards directly into the store and have them color match directly from the card into the computer so that it is the actual paint color from the 50s. But this time I did try to color match with some paint cards as well. So if you are craving one of these colors, I will put the colors of all of these color cards in the description down below so that you can find your very own 1950s color palette. Thank you so much to Quince for sponsoring this video and giving me a little bedding refresh, which I desperately needed, especially as we move into spring. One of the things that I did not realize I would think about this much as an adult is bedding. I used to just buy whatever looked cute, but now as I get older and I'm going through perimenopause and I sleep really hot and I have sensory issues, I'm always on the lookout for a more affordable place to buy high quality natural fiber bedding that's going to last. And Quince does just that. They're focused on providing high quality goods, whether it be home goods, whether it be fashion, whether it be accessories. They work with top tier factories to provide you with the product at a much lower price because there is no middleman upselling your product. I appreciate that they are high quality, they are comfortable, they are breathable, they are beautiful, and I know that they are working with factories who are safe and ethical towards their workers. If you know me, you know that I really love a good pattern, and right now I've been kind of obsessed with gingham. I want to wear gingham everywhere. I want to decorate with gingham. I want to make gingham curtains for every room in my house. So I picked the European linen duvet set in lavender gingham, and it's so pretty. It's so perfect for spring. I decided to pair it with the classic organic percale sheet set in olive gingham. I think that the green and the lavender look so pretty together. And then I wanted to top it off with the classic organic percale sheet set with the scalloped edges. It's just the perfect combination. I think that it's beautiful, it's feminine, it's very, very, very much Beatrix Potter or Brambley Hedge. I also don't feel like any room refresh is complete without a new candle, and so I chose their grapefruit candle. It is the perfect scent for spring. It is bright and it is citrusy and I love it so much, but I think of all the things that I got from Quince, my favorite is actually the sheet set. The organic percale cotton is so nice and buttery soft, and these are the sheets that will spoil me for any other sheets for the rest of my life. So if you would like to refresh your own home, head over to Quince and you will get free shipping and 365-day returns, which is pretty amazing. I feel so fresh and like ready to dive into being creative. So let's go paint the dining room. I decided to get 4 of these vintage paint colors color matched so that I could have some paint for the dining room chairs, and I also just really wanted to see what they would look like in real life. I was deciding between yellow or pink for the dining room, especially because the new wallpaper I bought is pink and almost the exact color of the pink in the paint card, but I thought yellow might also help brighten up the room. When we first moved in, the entire house was just painted white, and as you may know by now, I really don't love white rooms. I love color, I love whimsy. But the only option I had for paint when we moved in was the green we had bought to do the living room wall. So I made the mistake of painting the dining room wall green, and it made everything so depressing and dark, and it just was not me at all. So in an attempt to fix the darkness of the dining room quickly, I got some wallpaper to cover up the dark paint. But as you could tell from the beginning of this video, it just began to peel. Nothing that I did could fix it. I had prepped the wall the same as I did for every other wall that has been wallpapered. I have even wallpapered some of the other paneled walls in this house. But for some reason, wallpaper just really did not want to stick to this wall. So I scraped it off and decided that if I was going to add wallpaper to this room, maybe I should wallpaper a different wall and see if it worked a little better. And as you can see, I decided to go with the pink paint. I am so in love with this color. It is such a perfect color of pink. I don't think I've ever seen pink paint quite like it. I think there's something to be said for directly color matching a vintage color. There's a softness to it that I don't think modern paint colors have. It's not too vibrant, it's not too bubblegum, and it's not too beige. It's just that perfect blush that I wanted for this room.
And because it's such a nice light pink, it also really helps to brighten up the room with the color. I think there is something to be said for having color in a room, that even when it is really dark, it still feels warm and bright to have the walls not just be blank and white.
So pretty!
Now, I am doing two very controversial things in this dining room. Number one, I'm painting all of the wood trim and doors to be whatever color I want them to be. And number two, I'm painting the bricks, which, as you can see, I have already painted over once, or rather, I had a friend help me and they did not finish their job. But I thought that it would be really cute to have a pastel yellow chimney in a pastel pink dining room with pastel colored chairs and a turquoise table. So I'm doing it. And the thing is, these bricks, as you can see, have gotten broken over time. And they are newer 1990s to early 2000s bricks put over some much older brick that lies underneath. But we don't really have the time to embark on that project, so for now I'm going to paint over them. And I don't really care what the internet thinks. You can get mad at me all you want for defacing these ugly bricks. It's my house. I don't really care. And I'm sure actually most of you probably don't care either, but I do see this argument all the time online that you should never paint old wood and you should never paint old bricks. And neither the wood nor the bricks are that old in this house, so I don't really feel bad painting over them.
Today I need to finish painting. Some of you may notice that there are some broken bricks on this chimney. We are gonna fix that somehow, but probably not for this video because this is real life and I'm not 100% sure where to get that few bricks to fix it. And then I have some exciting things to set up and I'm going to let you all discover what that is after I finish painting. So let's get this done. I'm kind of dreading it. My hands started to cramp yesterday and I'm very tired. My arms are tired. My wrist is protesting, but I can do this. It's only half a room.
I know because I have mentioned that my arms feel like they're giving out and my hands are getting tired that people will inevitably ask where my husband is in all this and why he's not helping, and he actually was helping, but I do a lot of this while he's at work. I enjoy this kind of thing and he doesn't. I am the daughter of a construction person who remodeled houses his whole life. That was my first job and I have always loved doing room makeovers. I have always loved home improvement. I think it is so fun. I love coming up with the design and the ideas and enacting them and making everything happen. So I actually really love doing it all by myself. But of course there were things that I couldn't do or finish, so I would have my husband finish them when he got home, like painting the trim because I'm not good at precision, and finishing up this last wall to my right that you see. I actually had him finish it because this was all that I could do that day. But I then decided that it was time to get this side of the dining room fully set up because this is the part that is the most important to me anyway. And it was time for some decluttering. this is something that I have struggled with for a very long time. I get really attached to the idea of things, especially when they are vintage, and as you can see, I have culminated a very large collection of vintage linens, and I decided that I wanted the space for something else. So I went through with the rule that I had to get rid of things if there were not enough to serve us, such as napkins, if things were too far stained for me to fix anymore, or too ripped for me to fix. I also just got rid of things that were no longer sparking joy, that I just didn't feel in love with.
I have 5 drawers.
I had not really realized how many tablecloths I have collected over the years through thrifting or buying them off secondhand websites or having people send them to me, which, by the way, I do keep what people send to me, and I am very grateful that you are all so kind. But it was just time to pare down on the collection and make space for what I will use and love. And of course I use vintage tablecloths, and I'm not getting rid of all of them, and I still kept quite a collection. But I think that's something that perhaps people who are like me and who like things maybe don't always realize, is that you're not trying to be a minimalist, you're not trying to have nothing. You are just making sure that you have space for the things you actually love and enjoy. And there's something really freeing in that, in knowing everything you have. There's nothing stuffed away in dark corners or in back cabinets. It's all organized and visible, and it feels so incredible to have done all of that work.
So I was sitting here grappling with a little bit of guilt at getting rid of beautiful things. In particular, embroidered tablecloths. This one is one I'm keeping, right? But I have some that are only embroidered in the corners, or just they don't speak to me the same way that printed ones do. And I was kind of feeling guilty about getting rid of beautiful things, and like, well, what if I change my mind? Or like, it feels wrong to just get rid of these. They are objectively pretty. They don't do it for me, right? And I had this thought that I hope could be helpful to anyone else who struggles to get rid of things, even if you don't particularly love that thing, but you feel like you should hold on to it because it is objectively seems valuable or pretty or whatever, that it will be special to someone else. Somebody's gonna find that at the thrift store and be so happy to find it. If it doesn't spark joy and like you just aren't in love with it the way that I'm in love with a lot of my printed tablecloths, it's okay to let it go to the thrift store, because it's going to spark that joy for someone else. It's going to be useful to someone else. It's going to be pretty to someone else. It's going to be valuable to someone else, and that's perfectly fine. So I just thought that could help anybody else who struggles to declutter. Somebody else is going to be so delighted by the object that you are deciding to let go of, and you are going to feel so good about the space you gain because you're letting go.
그대 미소에 난 취한 것 같아 자꾸만 웃음이 나 어린아이 장난 같아.
Speaking of thrifting, if you are feeling like you really want a room refresh, but you feel like you don't have the money for the furniture or the decor or whatever new thing it is you think you might need for the room, I want to highly encourage you to just take everything off your walls, shove all your furniture to the middle of the room, look around your house and see what you already have, because I guarantee you, you can refresh your room just with what you have. Everything in my dining room is secondhand. I did not buy any new furniture. I did not buy any new shelves. I did not buy any new decor. All of it is secondhand. And while I know it's not as satisfying to make over your room without giving it a fresh color, it still can be done. One of my dreams for my house was to have a little tea and coffee station, but I didn't think that I had the space or the right combination of things in order to put it together until I realized that I could put both of these teacup shelves together over the buffet. I could declutter my linens and I could have a tea drawer so that the buffet would become a coffee and tea station. Everything in our dining room is secondhand though. The shelves were $4 at the thrift store, the buffet was $35, the table and the chairs were free at a garage sale on the last day, and all of my wall decor is secondhand except for maybe my calendar. Sometimes all you need in order to make your house feel fresh again is to take everything down, move it around, clean it off, and think about new combinations of furniture and wall decor that you can do. Or maybe new spaces that you could make over to be something else. Like with the buffet, which used to just hold a bunch of linens that I couldn't even dig through because they were so messy and cluttered. And now that I've gotten rid of some of them, I have the space for the tea station I've always wanted, and I am so excited about it. And I guess I have to admit I did buy the tea kettle because I haven't had an electric kettle in a very long time, and that was the missing component, but everything else is secondhand or was already in my house.
Good morning. Forgive me if I look a little frazzled. Actually, no. We don't need to make excuses for our appearance. We are humans existing on a giant ball spinning in space. So, today is going to be the last day of the project. The chimney will have to remain unpainted because we are discussing whether we want to leave the ugly, also breaking brick on there, or whether we want to embark on the journey of chipping it all off and redoing the chimney entirely. Which is a very big project that we cannot do right now. Now we're at the arts and crafts part of making things work on a budget, without a budget, because I have already used my budget for this. I did not intend to really buy anything major for the dining room anyway, and I know that's not exciting. I know that's not exciting to watch. It's not exciting to see a project not fully get done. I personally love getting projects fully completed, but our house is always evolving, and so I dug through my stash and I've pulled out some fabrics to consider for curtains and some upholstery fabric. I am going to break rules, and I'm sure some people will not like it. I am just going to reupholster these chairs with whatever I have. It's not going to be upholstery fabric, and that's fine. It is what it is. I'm going to put the curtain rod back up, and I'm just going to drape some fabrics on it and see what I like the best hanging there. And then we'll go from there. So welcome to the arts and crafts portion, where we are going to paint some chairs, reupholster some chairs, make do with what we have, which is kind of just life. Let's get into it. I'm gonna drink my coffee first, actually.
I think this is something that is hard to convey on social media, especially with makeovers, is how long it actually takes for just a real life person to get to a point where everything looks and feels the way that you maybe wanted it to 5 or 10 years ago. I have been collecting vintage things for what feels like my entire life. And when we moved into this house, I would not have been able to do what I am doing today because I would not have had the furniture that I have now. I would not have found the vintage table for free at a garage sale. I would not have had the chairs that I have today. I wouldn't have the buffet for the tea station. I wouldn't have the shelves. There's so much in my house that has just been a slow curation until we got to the point where I have a clear theme to go with. And I think that's how life should be. Your house should not be a quick fix to match an aesthetic or a trend. It should be a slow curation of the things that you really love and feel lived in and feel entirely you. I decided to make yellow strawberry curtains out of a vintage sheet that I thrifted years and years and years ago and never really used, both because I think the color will go well with the chimney and the tea kettle, and also because if you are using a sheet, generally you don't have to do as much sewing. It's such an easy project. I used the channel that was already there to hang the curtain, so I didn't have to sew a channel for the curtain rod. And all I ended up having to do was hem the raw edge at the bottom. And then I decided to reupholster these ugly seat covers. These chairs were free at the same garage sale we found the dining room table at, and it has been my goal to have wooden chairs in my dining room. I prefer the way that they look, but I wanted to make sure I was getting chairs that would eventually be easy to paint and reupholster. Now, I know that this is not upholstery fabric, and it's not going to be as durable as upholstery fabric would be, but like I said, we're making do with what we have, and I do want to try to spray these with a waterproofing agent so that if spills happen, they will be easy to clean off. I'm really happy that I did this. The first chair, as you can see, was a little messily done, but if you're wanting to change up the look of your dining room chairs and you have chairs like this, it is literally so easy to grab a stapler and just go at it. I would recommend folding under your edges like I did here so that it looks cleaner on the bottom. Even if you're never going to see it, it will just make for less fraying, less ripping that could happen, and all of that. I'm so happy that I did this. I ended up picking colors that went together, but nothing matches. And when we get a few more wooden chairs, I plan to paint them as well and upholster them in other patterns so that each chair is a little bit unique.
Climbing up the corners of your frame.
The last task was to paint the dining room chair. Personalize your home. It is your home and it should feel like you. I love the way the chairs turned out. I used the sample colors that I got from the hardware store. It was about $10 per sample. Totally worth it to make over these chairs. I am so happy with them. And with that, it is time to get into the reveal.
Sing me a sweet song, whispered on the breeze. Sit down beside me in an old memory. Under the moonlight, 'neath the northern star, hoping you dream of me too from where you are.
I cannot tell you how incredibly happy I am with this room now. I have been waiting and waiting to be able to make it over in a way that felt more like me, that brightened up the space and just made it feel like home. And I have achieved that with a little bit of paint and a little bit of creativity, and I hope this inspires you to do the same thing in your home.
Be awaiting messages from
You don't need everything new and trendy. Just look at what you have. Maybe grab a bucket of paint and have at it. And while I ran out of time, so the other half of the room did not quite get finished with decorating, I am still so happy with how it turned out. And that's just life. You'll have to tune in to my next video to see how the other half looks once it is properly decorated. But that is it, my friends. As always, I hope that wherever you are feeling safe and loved, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!